Bitcoin update on Wednesday, FOMC day. We have that news coming out in about 4 hours from now, 2 p.m. Eastern time for the FOMC. Expected 0.25 percentage basis points rising. That's pretty much a lock for now. If you do any kind of research, it's like 99, over 99% pretty sure. So that should be pretty much baked in. Now, as far as the pricing goes, that's not usually what sways markets. What sways markets is going to be what Jerome Powell says at the meeting at 2:30 afterwards. You're probably going to see volatility, prices spike up, prices spike down in both directions before we see what the true direction is. So no matter which way you're betting, you're probably going to be right, at least momentarily. So just be prepared for that, right? Moves up, moves down. That's what I would expect, right, or between 2 and 3 p.m., right? You're probably going to get that. Okay, now let's start off on the 4 hour. Then I'm going to zoom out to the daily, the weekly, and even monthly. I have some big things to show you on the monthly chart. And then also I'm going to look at a pi cycle bottom and top indicator, right? And maybe not for the reasons you think. So stay tuned. All right, so let's start off on the 4 hour, right? We want to see what the hell we're going to do over the coming days, right? That 4 hour chart's useful for that. So if we move up, where's our resistance? Well, your chart might look a little different than this. That's because the Gaussian channel is on here, right? We've been under it for a long time now, many days. If we move up, right, look at the previous support, right, on the 200 EMA on the 4 hour. Sorry, let me scoot closer to the microphone here. All right, so the 4 hour chart, right, the 200 EMA, previous support should flip to resistance, at least initially. So if we get up there with news or people anticipate a spike up, right, I would see it probably kind of fading right around there between 29.6, that lower part of the Gaussian channel, and 29.7 is that 200 EMA. So keep that in mind, right? If you need a visual here, right, we can put this on, and I would go somewhere around in there for our resistance zone. Taking off the Gaussian channel looks a little bit cleaner there, right? So you can see that pink 200 EMA, right? That's resistance zone. If prices get above there and flip this back to support, I would definitely expect further upside. However, initial tests of previous support usually do flip to resistance, at least initially. So, even in the best bullish case scenario, we move up, we hit it, and then we kind of come back down, and then, maybe test it tomorrow or going into the weekend or something like that. The initial test is highly likely, in my opinion, to hold, and that's a big if, that we even get up that high, right? Okay, we could just kind of do one of these numbers and then, nuke it back down this way and then come back up and just be in kind of right where we are before we started the damn meeting, right? That's usually the most likely scenario. Up, down, back to normal, right? So that's the 4 hour, what to expect today. So let's zoom out to the daily, see what else we got. And then we're going to look at the pi cycle indicator here on the daily chart. A little bit slightly longer video today, but I got some pretty good gold nuggets here. So the daily chart, same area, a little bit higher, right? You can see all this support level here. Again, our previous support level has been broken, right? And that is going to be now our new resistance level that we must take back over. And then again, initial tests usually fail, right? So 29.7, 29.8, still the same thing. The 21-day EMA, you can see rounding here. So if we move up, that's still where I would expect to, fade the rally. However, if price somehow pushes above this, you need to take that that's the big bulls showing back up here, right? So the odds are it holds here, at least initially. But if it doesn't, that is a huge sign that the bulls are ready to play bigger to the upside. Okay, so keep that in mind as well. Rejection here, right? It could, right? This downwards move. You can see how we're looking into just kind of this bounce, right? And then usually you can get another retest lower. 28.5-ish area has been my target for kind of weeks now. If we move down to the lower levels, 28.5 is a significant place, and looking at this 100-day EMA is kind of right there. Also kind of our previous breakout, right? This wicks and closing candles seem to be right there. You can even drag this zone back further, right? Look at these candles here, 28.5 to 28K. That's be where I would add. Below that, there's not really a spot I'm looking other than that 200-day EMA, and rising probably around 27K-ish or so. But the 200-day is really where we should hold, even with a wick. That's kind of my two low spots, 1 and 2. There's nothing else I'm looking at between those, right? 100-day EMA zone and 200-day EMA zone. Let's zoom out to the weekly, then we'll come right back. The weekly spot, right? We're at the EMA 8, right? We could easily bounce here. However, we have a long week to go, right? We're still not even halfway through the week. So we could end up coming down here, maybe bouncing off of this 100 week, right? You can see that kind of right at the 27.8 area. The 21 week EMA is at 27.7, right? It would make sense to wick down there, right? Something like this, and then maybe catapult and kind of trampoline bounce, maybe going into next week, right? Anything's possible. I'm just trying to relay the information as best as I can so you're well prepared in both directions, looking at bullish and bearish sides, okay? Now, if we do bounce, right, and we take out like 31.5 and go to fresh 2023 highs, note there's nothing else really ahead of us here. I would expect mid-30s at least if we take out a highs again after coming back down here, right? Now, why did I zoom out and we can't see any data? Look at the Bollinger Bands. If they look narrow to you, they should. If they look more narrow than anything on this chart, they should. If they look any more narrow than anything in Bitcoin's history, they should. The narrowest the Bollinger Bands on the weekly chart have been in Bitcoin's entire history. That's a big statement and not to be taken lightly. There's likely a massive move on the horizon. Now, this unfortunately can take weeks or even a month or so, plus maybe a couple months to play out, but there's likely the biggest move coming, or at least a massive move, based on the tightest the weekly Bollinger Bands have ever been. Ever. Not in a bull market, not in a bear market, like ever. Ever. Okay, all right, just I'm going to make sure ever. All right, okay, so now we're all prepared for that. I want to show you one more thing. Right, so we have the low targets, right? 28.5 is kind of my area. And do I think we're going much lower than that? No. Could we go a little bit? Yeah, of course. You know, wicks can go anywhere. It can last for a little bit of time. But let's go look at the Pi Cycle bottom indicator, or the top indicator rather. Not to get the top indicator, right? We're a long way from that. But I want to clear this up. I want to take off everything but that to make it clear as day. Right, so we have just that on, right? Pi Cycle top indicator, right? So let's go back in history and look at this. We're on the daily chart, right? That's all we're looking at. Here's your two lines. Historically, right? Let's just give you a snapshot here of the whole thing, right? And you can see once the orange line touches the green, right? That's usually the top is in, right? Now this is retrofit, right? I'm not arguing for anything other than what I'm going to show you here, and has nothing to do with the top. It has everything to do with this bottom orange line, right? So this is, look at where we are. Look at where we are here, right? We're coming down to it. Let's get an exact number where it is now. And remember that 28.5, okay? 28.5, all right? 28.5, okay, keep that in mind. Let's go look at what cycle are we rhyming with? Well, historically speaking, it's looking very close to like the 2015, 2016 start, right? I think maybe most of you are well aware of that by now. But also, look at this. Like, we're coming out of a bear cycle, right? The green line, note how it just starts to move up here, right? It's just starting to curve up, right? At the same time, right? Look how narrow these are getting, right? Pinching between them. And look at the price action. This is going to be important here in a second. Because if we're rhyming with the 2015, 2016 rally so far, I wonder what the hell this looked like back then. Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's go back and look. And we might have to pull up the BLX here. We might not have enough data. No problem. I'll get right to it. But 2015, 2016, well, we kind of got it. Let me get you a better picture here. Let me get the BLX. Just bear with me for 1 second for the 4 of you that are still watching. It'll be worth it. Let me get it back on auto, right? I should have had this a little bit more set up, but I thought I could do it. There we go. All right, so now we're back at 2015, 2016 models, right? So look at the similarities here, right? So I think we're mimicking this phase, touching off of this lower band, right? As the new bull cycle is starting to curl up. Where do we go, right? As this is pinching, we come back and hold that orange line. And not exactly, but we hug it, right? We don't go blatantly below it ever. But even more importantly here, I mean, you could almost take this fractal off of this, right? So I think we're probably right around, this area or something like in this, and we're gonna, kind of slowly trend up here for the next several weeks to months. And then maybe we have this coming. This is kind of like 2024 time, right? But most importantly, this is worth tracking, not for the top indicator, but look how many times this orange line is hit throughout the entire bull run. Right? Orange line again, right? Loosely fitting, trending around it, holding it for support, loosely based, holding it for support, hitting it again, all the way into the bull run. Bull run, bull run, bull run, bull run, right? This is like peak cycle bull runs. It's still hitting the line. But notice, like, the line is trending up with us. So let's go back and look, right? Let's give you one more snapshot here of where I think we are, right? Right as the line is starting to trend up on the green, right? The upper line, right? They're starting to get narrow, and then prices start to fall, right? But where do they hold? Loosely around that orange line, okay? So let's fast forward back to where we are now, right? We're getting there. Green line starting to trend up. The bands are starting to narrow, right? And as we're doing that, prices are starting to fall back to the orange line. After hitting it, going below it, just like the previous 2015, 2016 cycle, as the green line starts to go up, prices start to kind of taper off, go down, retest the orange line, which is at 28.5, loosely holds that, and then just slowly trends up for the rest of the cycle, right? So if we're going to top in 2025, which is kind of loosely fit right here, 100K plus, right? How much time are we going to spend going down? Probably not much, right? So loosely fit, right? We're probably just going to slowly follow this guy, right? And it doesn't go like to where the prices are, right? Prices take off, right? And this green line will slowly trend up, and then at some point these two lines will likely get close or touch again, and pi cycle top, and everyone will know. But look at the similarities, pull this up on your own chart. The BLX, right, it goes back all the way in history, 2016. Let's do it one more time for, again, now the two of you that are still here. I apologize that it's boring. Data can be boring. I try to make it less boring, but line curls up, prices start to taper off and fall, retest, right? Hold loosely on that line and just continue to trend up, but multiple retests for, the years ahead, right? So keep this in mind. Look at the moves. I mean, it's eerily similar to where we are now. I think we're somewhere likely in this area right now, right? I don't know if we're here or here, but I would guess probably in this area. Maybe we go down a little bit more, and then just kind of, it's boring for the next several weeks to months. And by boring, I still think we could go to, mid 30s, 20, 27, 28, right? That's still relatively boring for Bitcoin. So I probably should have made another separate video on this. Maybe we'll look at it again because I still want to cover the monthly chart briefly here. We get rid of the pi cycle. We don't need that shit anymore. EMA ribbons, right? We don't need that. Let's clean this up. All right, now I think we're good. Now let me go look again for the one of you that's still here, or maybe it's zero and I'm just talking to a wall here. That's fine. Monthly charts. Let's get it back here. All right. Here we go. All right, we don't need Bollinger Bands. Damn, that skews the shit out of it. Looking at the BLX here, right, the monthly, we're just basically trending up. Let's go back to current Bitcoin because otherwise we won't have the data. Here we go. All right, so now what do we want to look at? Well, early start to a bull cycle here, right? 2015, 2016, we can actually still see this here, right? So I think we've done this, right? We're eerily similar to 2015, 2016 bull run, right? The start of it. So, a couple green months in a row, then it tapers off. Right? Look at the EMA 8 on the monthly, right? I believe that we're right in this area again. So I think this is likely coming, maybe not in the next month or two, but in the, the coming months, right? We could be somewhere along this, but noting more importantly, the EMA 8 on the monthly, once we've closed above it, we don't go back below it with a closing candle, right? Briefly, sure, we could do that. Right on it, sure, we could do that again. But I believe that we are now above it, and I do not believe we will close back below it. So that number right now is 27.2, 27.3 for the EMA 8 on the monthly, right? Look at this cycle back here. How we go up or pull ourselves out of the long bear market, and then we just kind of trend sideways for about 5-6 months. So pull ourselves out of the bear market, and we're trending sideways, maybe for about 5 or 6 months. Now we're about 4 months in it, 3.5, 4 months. So we could, it's not going to repeat exactly, but history doesn't repeat, but it does often rhyme. And I think we're rhyming similar to this. So the next move could be, rather upward swinging, right? We just basically get really calm, hold the EMA 8, and then, trampoline bounce off of it. So let's zoom in here. How long are we at? We're 15 minutes. I have nobody. I'm talking to a wall now. So let's just keep talking then. So EMA 8 on the monthly, right on here at 27.2, right? We could wick down there. Look at where we wicked. We wicked right to the 50-month EMA down here last month, and then nice bounce. So where could we wick now? And with no surprise, the 21-month EMA seems like a good spot. That's right at 28.1. We could wick right to the EMA 8. That's 27.4, right? Wicks don't really matter, but my importance on this is we don't have to do any of that. The closing candle of April closed at 29,247. What's our price right now? 29,237, right? So we're kind of trying to hold that, I would guess. Look at the top of this wick, right? So the monthly chart shows maybe we're just have broken out and simply just retesting that level, and we're getting ready to move back to the upside yet again, right? We still have 5 days, 10 hours until this monthly candle closes. I would love to close right here or higher. We could wick down here today and then come back up and close back at 29.2. That would be great. 29.3. Not only that, but that is the 8-week moving average is right where we are now, right? We talked about that earlier. So a monthly perspective shows that, maybe we go down a little bit more. This is where we want to close to remain uber bullish. And then maybe we get that kind of trampoline bounce going into August, right? If we move down and close below this, then I would say that's more the odds of trending sideways for another couple of months before maybe then making our move going into Q4, something like that. We'll take it a day at a time. Like Bruce Lee says, be water. Be ready to adapt and change. Don't get too deterministic in what you're thinking or believing. Always be ready to jump and switch boats. Bull boat, bear boat, right? You got to be ready to adapt and not be locked into your whatever narrative your favorite shitcoin YouTuber says, right? All right, so let's get to our coin of the day. If you have any questions on this, want to see a more in-depth one, nobody, let me know in the comments below. But like I said, I'm just talking to nobody at this point, so who cares? Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we're right at neutrality. Neutrality, word of the day. We're markets split, right? Let's go with that. However, we have some big news here. We're at 31 on the altcoin season index. It's not altcoin season, but we've made a significant move out of Bitcoin season for sure. I mean, look at this chart. We have our low, our high, higher low, higher high. Last time I talked about this, I believe it was Monday. We wanted to hold 22, right? And we've done that beautifully. So altcoins, if Bitcoin bounces, especially here, if we go back to like 30K Bitcoin or higher, I would expect altcoins to put in a fury tear to the upside, right? Just like we did in January, February, right? Remember this? Altcoins were doing like 100, 200% moves within weeks. That could happen again if Bitcoin bounces, right? That's the asterisk you need to, that's the key word. If Bitcoin bounces and gets back above 30K, I'm looking at 30K. I think altcoins will go on an absolute tear like we haven't seen since January, February. So based on this, it's possible. Now, also to the downside of that, what if Bitcoin crashes? I think altcoins may not get quite as hard as they were getting hit, right? So if Bitcoin crashes 5%, altcoins might crash 5, 7, 8% instead of, double or triple what Bitcoin usually does, right? So this is a good thing to be tracking. BlockchainCenter.net. It's free. Go check it out. All right, quote of the day. Diplomacy is the art of saying nice doggy until you can find a rock. Violence. All right, car of the day. Car of the century. Any guesses? The McLaren Solus. You might have been able to pick it up in the goddamn logo back there. The Solus. What makes this one unique besides it looks like an absolute spaceship race car. It has one seat and there's no doors. No doors on this one. This whole entire front slides forward and opens, and then you just like kind of it has like a built-in step, and you walk in there. Pretty crazy. A little claustrophobic. I've seen a video of this on YouTube. I don't know if I would even want to get in. It's like a fighter jet. I mean, seriously, like it's enough for one person, and you best be under like 180 pounds because it is tiny. It looks like to me, but that is a pretty aggressive look. And look at the headlights. There's like a beam, and I saved the best for last here, for no one that's watching. The Solus with just probably one of the best. Desktop background picture right here, right? Pretty great. I'll end it there for nobody. 20 minutes in, talking to a wall. All right.